You are listening to the only show where a former police officer and a current law school student tackle politics, the legal system, and corruption. The show, known around the world as Qualified Immunity.
You ready?
Yeah, I think so.
knowing that you know what we're about to talk about.
No.
Are you ready?
No.
Because I'm pretty sure we've avoided this all week.
I mean,
not that I've directly avoided it.
We've been trying to find the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, and I'm glad I waited to do it because there's reasons. Like the Kyle Rittenhouse story wouldn't have happened if I would have done this episode when I wanted to do this episode.
Yeah. Blessings in disguise.
It's a strong word to use.
Well,
I wouldn't use the word blessing.
The fact that we waited was probably a good thing.
Yeah, because if we would have done this, we were talking about doing this right after the Jacob Blake shooting. And the reason we didn't do it, honestly, was we got busy.
It's my fault.
Is it?
I mean, I was actually gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were.
Gone.
You were in school trying to be a lawyer and such. Okay, here goes nothing. We're going to talk about Wisconsin. Kenosha, Wisconsin, to be specific. And if you do not know what has been happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, you should, I don't know, turn on Twitter.
It's a town I had never heard of until this week.
Long story short, and this is we will get into the details of this. Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back by a police officer while reaching into his car because he said he was going to allegedly said he was going to get a gun.
We'll get into specifics, right?
There was a warrant out for his arrest.
Or is this the specifics, or are we going to get into
No, it'll get more specific.
Okay.
There was a warrant out for his arrest. However, okay.
Did the warrant say dead or alive on it?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just wanted to check.
No, the warrant did not say dead or alive. This is not 1893. That's not how this happens now. It's not dead or alive.
I mean, people act like that's how it's supposed to go.
Well, okay.
It's not supposed to go like that.
It's not supposed to go like that. Pause. Jacob Blake was shot in the back 9 times by a police officer. And there's a debate whether he was armed or not. A couple days after that, there are protests, which I'm going to say right here now, I agree with. Protesters clash with private citizens. You can call them militia. You can call them whatever you want. One of them is a 17-year-old named Kyle Rittenhouse who was allegedly defending an auto dealership with an AR-15. Now, before you start this whole line of ridiculousness about everything he did was illegal because he shouldn't have had the firearm to begin with, stop. I don't care about that law. I really don't. Because there's so many loopholes in that law that it's...
Yeah. I was talking to my dad about that today, and we went around and around,
And I don't know Wisconsin law, but it's pretty close to Oklahoma from everything I can tell.
Yeah.
That was gifted to him and he was on private property.
Yeah.
I don't think it's illegal. But I was the cop. You're the lawyer. Like
I don't practice law in Wisconsin. I don't know.
And it very well might be. But Kyle Rittenhouse is from Illinois. And the story goes, and I'm going to say this, try and say this politely. As the story goes, Kyle Rittenhouse thought somebody was throwing a Molotov cocktail at him. something was allegedly thrown at him, Kyle Rittenhouse brought his rifle up and fired and shot the person, from every report I've seen, center mass, dead in the chest. A second person came up to Kyle Rittenhouse and attempted to beat him with a skateboard in the head. Rittenhouse turned over, shot that man in the head. A third man walked up with what appeared to be a Glock 26 or a Glock 27 in his hand. Kyle shot him in the arm, then ran to police. Now, granted, throughout all of this, mind you, police didn't arrest him. He did not get arrested until he got back to Illinois.
I will say, I've only seen one video angle, and I don't know if there are any others.
There's at least 3.
Okay. From what I saw, it's very confusing. Like, it's very unclear what exactly is going on. The only thing that is clear is that he is running from the crowd at the time that the video started.
Now, I will say this too. There is reports that the reason the initial person threw something at him was because he had fired rounds. That happened before the video started.
I've heard a number of conflicting reports. So
that's the problem. All you've got and all they have in court is what the video is going to show. Yeah. Anyway, he ended up getting charged with, I believe, 2 counts of first-degree murder. Now, he had. I did forget. Kyle had filmed the confrontation with the first attacker before the Molotov cocktail.
I haven't seen that video.
It's out there.
I screwed up and I waited too long to get on this, and by the time I got on it, it's so hard to find the actual original video.
I think I have it.
Care to share?
I think I've got, because when I first saw the first video of it, I saved it.
Okay.
Because honestly, we'll digress. How did it get to this point? Jacob Blake, before anybody says this, and everybody goes, well, he was a dirtbag, but whatever. This goes to the same sentiment that I said with George Floyd. If you believe an innocent until proven guilty, it doesn't matter what they've done. It matters what they are charged with, that the warrant's out, and if they're going to go through due process to determine guilt.
The job of police is to bring people in alive, if possible. If they don't.
If possible. The only reason police, and I've said this a million times, and I've been trained this for years, the only reason police are supposed to use deadly force, and there are 2, in self-defense and in the defense of another life. If you believe that you are in immediate danger or immediate threat of loss of life, limb, or grave bodily injury, or that someone else is in the immediate danger, has the immediate threat of the loss of life, limb, or great bodily injury, that is the only 2 reasons you are supposed to use deadly force. Period.
Right.
Period. That's there's no other debate about it. The only 2 reasons, and they're really 1, is if you or another person, you or somebody else you can see, is under the immediate threat and danger of the loss of their life, a limb, or great bodily injury. And most states that I've looked up, and Wisconsin is written the exact same way Oklahoma's is written, it's written just like that. Most states are written just like that. So the only 2 instances in which police or anybody can legally use deadly force is when they have the belief that they're in danger of losing their life, limb, or grave bodily injury.
Now, in Jacob Blake's case,
I think that's there.
You think so?
Yes. And on at least two of them. See,
he was facing the other direction though. Like he was facing away from the officers at the time.
No. I mean, oh, sorry, you said Jacob Blake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're talking about
Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah, I'm
yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
In
I
Jacob Blake's case, let me rephrase this. In the case of Jacob Blake, I do not believe there is a threat there that requires or even suggests the use of deadly force. I don't, because I know why they did it. Mm-hmm. I understand the training in which why they did it, and they're going to call this science. There's what's known as the 21-foot rule. That if somebody has a knife and they are within 21 feet of you, and this gets ingrained into you, I mean ingrained into you, that if somebody has an edged weapon and they are within 21 feet of you, they can get to you and inflict great bodily injury and or death upon you before you can unholster and accurately fire a round.
Well, that may be true. The guys in this case were already unholstered before he ever got in the car.
And that's why they were unholstered.
Yeah.
Because apparently he had a knife.
I don't necessarily have a problem with them unholstering their weapons, but the man was facing away from them. First of all, he was facing away from them, and they laid hands on him. At that point,
and somebody said this to me today, that they had his hand. An officer had his hand on
his back,
on his shirt, like had hold of his shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I miss that?
No. Well, apparently, because that's what I saw. He grabbed his shirt on the back with his hand and pulled on the shirt, and then shots were fired.
And for the record, as of this moment in time, Jacob Blake lived. He's paralyzed from the waist down.
He's in the hospital, is he not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be there a while.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to bring up, well, he was charged with molesting a kid. And if you hold on, if you know anything about me, there is one legitimate crime in this entire world that you are never going to be able to justify to me, and that's sex crimes against children. But he was innocent until proven guilty.
That's the thing in all of these cases that keeps coming up. What if he didn't do it?
Well, I mean at least now.
That's the whole point of the arrest and the trial.
Yeah, but at least now he'll still face trial.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe, honestly.
He's still alive, so he may still face trial, but the point of the police being sent out there is not to kill him.
Well, and backstory. According to reports, they attempted to tase him. And we're going to get into the fact that his kids were in the car in a minute. But according to reports, they attempted to tase him, and the taser was not effective in immobilizing him. Now, before we get any farther, this is my opinion only. I carried a taser for the better part of a decade. Mm-hmm. I have attempted to use a taser multiple times in that better part of a decade. Tasers are ineffective 90% of the time. Period. In my experience. Granted, that's an opinion.
Yeah.
And people can look up and say, well, you just suck at using a taser. No. The science behind a taser is you have to get both prongs into that person to make an arc for it to work.
Right.
If you get one prong, it's not going to work.
Right.
And honestly, it's just going to piss them off even more, especially if they were high.
Yeah.
Because I've had that happen too. But you were to that moment of going, they tased them, it didn't work. And somebody said there were 3 officers there. I remember seeing 2 in the video.
Yeah, I saw 2.
I have a serious issue even if he had a knife. If he had a knife, it wasn't big enough you could see on camera. And sorry, the knife I carried when I was a cop was big enough you could have seen it. Like, if he's got a Swiss Army knife or a Boy Scout knife, seriously, if he has a Swiss Army knife or a Boy Scout knife or some little pocket knife, what are those? What was the ones? My dad still carries one. The old men carry. They're like woodsmans, old timers. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I still have one of those.
Yeah, but if he had something like that, we're not talking. And well, it's an edged weapon. You're wearing effing Kevlar.
I would disagree. It's not an edged weapon because it's not a weapon. I mean, you would have to stick it in somebody's
Legally,
eye.
it is. For the sake of legalities, it is.
You want to stick that one in front of a jury?
Yeah, because I know how that. I would act if I was the prosecutor. Would I? Yes, because I know how the jury instructions are going to read, and they're going to define that as a weapon.
Okay.
I do not believe Jacob Blake should have been shot. I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
But you were talking about letter of the law versus color of the law.
Yeah.
What, and this goes back to a reasonable person. Would a reasonable person believe that Jacob Blake with a Swiss Army knife or a Boy Scout knife or an old timer was an actual threat against two people who are allegedly trained on the use of restraining another human being in order to bring them to court? Because I have been in that same situation and I didn't have another cop there.
Yeah.
And people can call me stupid for this all day long. You know what I did? I tackled the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because violence of action, and I'm 200 pounds. With duty gear on, I was about 260.
Right.
If I'm on top of him and I know how to manipulate his body and especially his pressure points, I'm going to maintain control of him.
Right.
The other side of that is, and there's somebody who I know was either watching this or listening to this that had to help me, another cop that had to help me, who I'm really good friends with, one of my best friends in the entire world. Who had to help me restrain somebody that did not have a weapon.
Yeah.
Because they had that much fight in them.
Yeah, I'll agree. Being armed is not the end all be all. I mean, you can have unarmed people that are dangerous, but in this specific case, he was facing the other direction.
Well, and the problem is, and I hope the officer who pulled the trigger had a body cam on, and I hope it was placed in the right angle, to which, can you see what he's reaching for?
Probably not. I'm also really curious if they found any weapons at the scene.
Me too.
But we don't have that information.
Because and that's not going to be real. If they come out right now, honestly, if they came out right now and said there was no weapons found in Blake's car,
I would be shocked if they said that now.
They'll never will.
Yeah.
Kenosha would burn.
Yeah.
Milwaukee would burn.
Well, yeah.
Like Minneapolis kind of burned. And hold on, I have a slight slanted question or comment or thought. What is with all these what is with all these ridiculous uses of force in 2020 coming from the upper Midwest? Seriously.
Good question. I don't know.
Minneapolis, Wisconsin. I mean, granted, Breonna Taylor was.
We've had some in the South, but I don't know. I mean, none of it boiled up to what we've seen coming out of these other states up in the Northwest. I don't know.
I think Michigan had one too. It didn't get to this level though.
Yeah.
But I want to say, it might have been Dearborn Police. There was a story in Michigan that I was just like, and it got swept under the rug real quick.
Yeah.
But it was one of those do what stories.
Did I tell you the new nickname for Michigan that I heard the other?
What?
Somebody called it Militigan.
You've never heard that?
No.
Seriously?
No.
That's, oh my God. More than a decade.
Yeah.
I heard that more than a decade ago.
Because I'm just behind the times.
You also obviously don't really read post-apocalyptic fiction.
Not very much. No.
I was like one of the biggest post-apocalyptic fiction series.
Uh-huh.
One of the guys is from Michigan.
Okay.
And it came out like 08, 09.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I read it at a mainstream source.
Mm.
But you realize where that started at, right?
No.
You live in Oklahoma.
Okay.
April 19th.
Yeah.
1995.
Yeah, I'm following you now.
Where was he from?
Okay. Yeah.
That's how that started. was Tim McVeigh and being training with a militia from Michigan.
Good to know.
Yeah, I mean, just fair warning. Most people don't know that, but
I never heard that until this week.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll teach you some more of my slang terms.
Please don't. I don't want to know.
But Jacob Blake had no. Here's going to be the catch-22. Would I have shot Jacob Blake? No, I wouldn't have let him get around the car.
Well, and that wrestling match that happened between the driver's side door and the car, what was that?
The driver's side or the passenger side?
The driver's side. When he was getting into the car for something.
I don't know what that was.
When the cop reached up and grabbed him, when I saw that, I thought, what are you doing?
Because if he has a gun, you just trapped yourself.
If he has a knife, you just trapped yourself. You should. 21-foot rule. I'm not getting within 15 feet of that guy.
Well, and I'm going to say, we're going to put this one in here, right now. The number one reason throughout everything else that nobody should have fired into that fucking car.
Yeah.
Was there were 3 kids in it.
Yeah.
You fired 7 rounds into a car that had 3 children in it. Know what you're shooting at. Know what's behind it.
That's not even like cop training. That is
firearm safety training.
That's firearm safety 101. Like everybody who handles a firearm is supposed to know that.
Know what you're shooting at. Know your target and know what's behind it. You know how easily one of those rounds could have ricocheted? And I guarantee they're hollow points because every cop in the country should carry hollow points. If you don't carry hollow points, you're asking for a lawsuit. But say it's expanded and say a fragment goes into a kid's eye.
Yeah.
You just ruined that kid's life for the rest of their life and made them disabled.
At best.
At best. At worst, you kill one.
Yeah.
Or all 3. Because and this is the thing too, I'm going to have to go back and watch, but I think it's the same thing as the Dell City shooting. I don't think he had control of that firearm. I want to say he shot at least the first 3 rounds with one hand.
Well, yeah, because his other hand was wrapped up in the guy's shirt.
What in the actual what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to say he basically fired 7 rounds with one hand, which should have never happened. Like, you're not going to justify to me shooting into that car with kids in it, unless that guy turns around with a firearm.
I'm trying to think of something odd.
Unless you physically see him manifest a firearm, you are not going to justify to me firing 1 round, much less 7, into a vehicle that has 3 children in it.
Well, again, I don't understand why they were so close.
I don't understand how it got to that point. I don't understand how they danced around the entire front of that car and nobody had the thought process to go fisticuffs and get him on the ground. Well, he had a knife. Well, guess what? If you go fisticuffs and he falls on that knife, that's his own problem.
Yeah, it's better than the alternative.
It's better than what happened.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That he has one guy wrapped up in the guy's shirt on his back, and he opens fire.
You open fire with one hand on your weapon. Do what? You could, people are going to argue with me one day about this because I guarantee you, because I don't delete podcasts, no matter how big this gets, somebody's going to go back and be, well, I can control my weapon with one hand just fine. Okay, Bubba Gump, shut up. Seriously, you're not trained to do that unless it's a worst case scenario. And why do you have step back, get a proper firing position, and fire if you're going to shoot the guy?
Yeah.
You have way, way, way not enough distance.
Yeah.
Because that's why I say you can't invoke the 21-foot rule when you literally 2-step with them around the front of the car. And people want to run around and be like, well, I don't believe they should be rioting. And what else do you want them to do at this point? George Floyd was murdered. This was attempted murder. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor is so clear-cut, it's ridiculous. The whole irony behind the Jacob Blake shooting is it's going to turn into, well, he had a knife. Okay, fine. He had a knife against 2 police officers. Hey, here's another thought. Oh crap! What's his name? Who was the one that got killed in Atlanta in the drive-thru
Oh,
for DUI? You know the story. It's. I'm gonna go back to the same thing I said then. Hey, form a perimeter. Like, let's form a perimeter.
Brooks. Rayshard Brooks.
Yeah, let's form a perimeter.
Yeah.
And wait till the guy gets tired. You have no excuse. I don't believe there is a, and you're going to say there is a legal reason. I don't think there's an ethical way. I think it is the absolute epitome of piss poor training that got shown not only in George Floyd, but now in Jacob Blake. Piss poor policy in Breonna Taylor.
Yeah.
Piss poor policy and piss poor ethics, and Breonna Taylor was just
a cluster.
It starts at a cluster. But George Floyd and Jacob Blake both are in this paradigm of why do you have such a hard-on to get it done right then, right now?
Yeah.
Step back, set a perimeter.
Yeah. I mean,
get more officers there. Get less lethal there. Get something else there.
That's the thing that I don't see being talked about very much. I mean, if he was reaching in for a weapon, that's one thing. If there's no weapon, that means that he was just leaving.
But he had a warrant, and that's what they're going to go back to, is he had a warrant.
Were you ever told to shoot if someone was fleeing?
Yes, but it depends on the circumstances.
Okay, in what circumstance were you supposed to shoot?
If they're a direct threat to the community, like a direct threat to other life in the community, like an active shooter.
Which doesn't fit this case.
I don't think it fits this case at all. I think it can be twisted to fit this case.
So if he's just leaving, take the license plate and forget about it.
Well, and here's the other side of how do you fit this, and I'm going to make the prosecution's argument for them. How do you fit the fleeing felon rule to make the case? He got charged with a sex offense and he just drove away with minors. And he's got a weapon. How do you know you're not letting it turn into a hostage situation, that he is a direct threat to the minors in the car after he's already been charged with a sex offense against a minor and he's proven possession of a weapon? I can make that case. Do I believe that? No. Do I think it's a bunch of legal bullshit? Yes.
Right.
But can I make the case that the fleeing felon rule, or the exception to using lethal force on a fleeing felon, could be used in the case of Jacob Blake? Yes, I can make the case. I can build the case for it. Is it a bunch of legal bullshit? Yes. You have no reason to shoot that man, especially when you've got him outnumbered.
Right. And outgunned.
Outnumbered, outgunned, outtrained, theoretically outtrained.
Yeah.
You have no excuse to pull the trigger. Especially when it's an oxymoron if you want to invoke the 21-foot rule with a knife when you danced around that car right next to him for more than 21 feet.
Yeah. That lack of distance was not his fault. I mean, the officer...
I understand he's got a warrant. I understand that. I understand it's a warrant for a heinous crime.
Right.
That does not mean the police become judge, jury, and executioner. And the bad part about it is a lot of people out there saying this right now, the common clapback to that is, well, how would you know? You've never been a cop. You've never done it. Guess what? I have. You can't use that argument with me.
I think that's why I like doing this, because it's like...
Nobody can use that argument here.
Yeah.
Well, you've never been in a situation like that. Yeah, I have. More than once. Well, I bet you just sat in the car. Nope, I guarantee you I had my firearm unholstered more times than I ever wanted to. For one reason, and I was the last to unholster. The entire reason I carried the firearm I did was because the function of it to give me a little bit extra time. Yeah. People think that's crazy.
We're taking arguments if you're interested.
We're taking arguments.
Yeah, just send your arguments in.
Oh God, this is gonna be good.
If you have any, which you probably don't, but
But Jacob Blake happens. Protests happen. Kyle Rittenhouse, who wanted to be a cop, comes from Illinois to Kenosha, Wisconsin to help defend private property against quote-unquote rioters. I do not personally know, and there might be, that there has been the kind of property damage in Kenosha that there was in Minneapolis. Well, right before midnight on Tuesday night, Kyle Rittenhouse ended up killing 2 people and wounding another one. He has been charged with first-degree murder, I think ×2. And I think it was self-defense. And this is where I'm going to piss people off, because you want to pick a side so bad. You're like, but the other side did it. Hey, the cops were wrong. So were the protesters. If you beat somebody over the head with an effing skateboard, don't be surprised when they get shot.
That's what people seem to forget about, politics in general. But when it comes to something like this, it's possible for everyone involved to be wrong.
Yes.
I mean, that's a thing. So, if you're going to get mad, that's fine. But
get mad, get pissed. How about it? I don't care.
But it's possible everybody in this situation was wrong.
You cannot attack. And the problem I had with this, and I prefaced it earlier, is I believe the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, according to the way I've read Wisconsin law, which is basically a mimic of Oklahoma's self-defense law, everything he did was in self-defense with the exception of maybe the first one. What that comes down to is, did he believe it was a Molotov?
Yeah, that's pretty much where it comes down.
Because if he believed it, he has the right, under the way I read it, under Wisconsin law, to use lethal force.
I mean,
in self-defense.
I haven't done any research on Wisconsin law, so I can't speak to that.
It's pretty close to Oklahoma.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. They're both, to some degree, Midwestern states.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not anywhere close. It's not word for word the same, but it's. You could swap them, and for a legal aspect, probably not tell the difference.
Yeah.
So everybody's up in arms about the Kyle Rittenhouse thing because he was 17, and we're not getting into gun laws tonight.
Well, I will say this one thing. If he didn't have that firearm, he'd probably be dead right now.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
He would probably be dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he was unrecognizable.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I wholeheartedly believe that if Kyle Rittenhouse had not had that firearm Tuesday night, he would not be walking the face of the earth right now.
Yeah. That mob was not interested in apprehending anyone.
No, and that's what somebody brought that up on I think it was Facebook. It was one of the social media platforms. The question becomes, were they intending on arresting him, or
he was running toward the cops? I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, were they intending on arrest? Was the mob attempting to make a citizen's arrest, or were they attempting to execute as vigilantes? And my theory is, if they were attempting to arrest him under a citizen's arrest, you don't beat him in the head with a freaking skateboard.
Yeah.
Like the skateboard incident, that's self-defense.
Yeah.
The guy that got his arm pierced, that's self-defense. He was walking up after there's been a visible threat against Rittenhouse. He was walking up with a Glock in his hand.
Yeah.
That's clear and present danger. Mm-hmm. The entire thing of the Kyle Rittenhouse case hinges on, did he believe that the initial throwing of an object towards him was a Molotov? Because from every report and from the sound I can hear, when it got thrown was when he fired.
Yeah.
The object was in midair when he fired.
Yeah.
And then everyone wants to bring out his, I guess he's got a rap sheet for disorderly conduct.
Disorderly conduct?
Which I really want to know how they got a juvenile record unsealed.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my first question. The other thing is disorderly conduct. Like, what?
I don't know. He's got like a court cost disorder.
It's not like
somebody looked it up.
It's not like he's murdered anybody or committed armed robbery.
I agree with you.
I mean, disorderly conduct. That's like nothing.
Well, and the problem is, I really.
And in any case, I mean,
I really do not understand how you can formulate the argument and the debate that Rittenhouse wasn't at least mentally acting in self-defense. Because I honestly believe he feared for his life.
I mean, you start beating me with a board of any kind, don't be surprised. I mean, I probably wouldn't, but anybody else, I would not be surprised if they acted in self-defense like this.
Like, here's the sad part that we're actually arguing. Kyle Rittenhouse was getting beat in the head with a skateboard and killed somebody. Meanwhile, Jacob Blake was just getting in his car and got killed.
Yeah.
One's charged with homicide, and the other is. I see what I mean. There's the paradigm of this.
The unspoken qualified immunity.
The unspoken qualified immunity, because Rittenhouse was literally getting beat in the head with a skateboard, and for all we know, believed he had a Molotov cocktail thrown at him, which kicked the entire thing off. Jacob Blake, and he might not be a good person. He might have done heinous things, innocent until proven guilty. Unless you're going to throw that out the window. Jacob Blake was... Somebody attempted to murder Jacob Blake for no real reason.
Yeah. Well, and when the video starts, he is running away from the crowd. He is retreating. He's
retreating. He is not making a stand.
Yeah. And when the threat is gone, he stops shooting.
Yep.
And gets up and starts walking away.
And he was going to the cops.
Yes. He walks up to a police car with his hands in the air.
Now, there is a debate, and I have to throw this debate in there. Kyle Rittenhouse had been black.
It may have been a different story.
It probably was going to be a different story.
Yeah.
And that's where we go back to...
And I'm not going to shy away from that. I mean, that's distinctly possible.
Is there systematic racism in law enforcement? Intentionally, no. Subconsciously,
I will say this. I am surprised that any person walking up to a police car with an AR-15 is what I assume.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Walking up to a police car with an AR-15, I'm surprised they weren't at least arrested.
That's the other thing. And I was about to say that. Rittenhouse wasn't even arrested that night. Charges weren't filed until he was back home.
Around here, you might actually get shot for that.
Walking up to a cop with an AR? Oh, yeah. You walk up, especially you walk into certain agencies.
Yeah. Maybe. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me.
You walk up to a state trooper in Oklahoma, you're probably getting...
Well, we've had people arrested for walking in the street with AARs. I mean, that's...
Yeah,
that's
like
it's... I'm not saying it's right.
I'm
just saying I'm surprised. That
No. Here, I'll redo that verbiage for you. I'm not saying I would do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it should be illegal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I wouldn't strap on kit and just walk down Main Street.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But again, I'm with you. It shouldn't be illegal.
And protesters, I believe in. And I've said this before. I don't believe in rioting. Excuse me. Protesters, I believe in. I don't believe in rioting, but I also don't believe you should show up trying to look like you're SEAL Team 6 to quote unquote defend against rioting.
Yeah.
What you're doing, for the most part, is looking, especially some of these people. Man, some of these people are just military cop washouts that are looking for a reason to pop off around. And
Yeah.
I just want to defend my country, dirt to dirt. No, you're looking for a reason to kill somebody. You probably need a lot of therapy. Because you're walking out there as 1 in 10. Give me a reason. Which is great when you're Doc Holliday in the movie. Like, if it's Doc Holliday in Tombstone, fine. Yeah. But if you walk out there and with the attitude of I'll be your Huckleberry, you're not defending anything. You're antagonizing to the point of a flashpoint.
Yeah.
To be legally justified, to be like, yeah, America, click, click, move. And honestly, and I'm not in the shape I was 5 years ago, but honestly, most of you don't understand that if you put 5 inches of flubber between your plate carrier and your organs, your plate carrier doesn't sit right. Therefore, all you're being is tactical, not tactical. Well, I got AR 500 plates, yeah, and your gut's so damn big, you can't cover anything. Like,
Tactical.
I'm serious. You know how
Yeah.
many like militia members that I've seen like 350, probably 4 bills, and they're walking around with plate carriers, like minimalist plate carriers on. They're not even trying to put real plate carriers on.
Yeah.
They're walking around with minimalists on, and they don't have an IFAC and they don't have water. But I'll be damned if they don't have 9 extra AR mags and 6 extra pistol mags, because holy crap. Sorry, there's my rant on militias. At the moment,
That's it.
I know.
Oh, at the moment.
At the moment,
Okay.
I could go for hours, hours on the idea of Bubba Dam, who the only 40 he's ever ran is the 40-foot line at the Golden Corral. Like, I'm just saying, it's
May have run a little bit in high school, maybe junior high. I'm not really sure.
He was probably left tackle that sat on the bench. Like, you can't be anybody I see that weighs that is. I'm not even put a number on it, but is obscenely obese or overweight and wants to look up and be like, yeah, I'm here to defend private property, and you don't have an IFAC or water on your kit of any form, any way, any kind, you're a poser. Like, you might have IR tabs, but if you don't have an IFAC or at least a blowout kit of some sort to address the gunshot wound, that's the other thing, is when the guy that got his arm pierced, he's sitting there looking at it, and I sent a text message to somebody else that you and I both know, and I'm like, don't ever be looking.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna put yourself in this situation, have the ability. Don't just stare at a gunshot wound.
Yeah.
Have a tourniquet, or a belt, something.
This is your public service announcement.
Oh God.
As something of a pacifist, I actually have some training in treating gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
There are classes on it. Please go take a class. Regardless.
There's a TCCC class on YouTube. It's about 4 hours long.
Go take a class, watch a YouTube channel, whatever.
Know how to pack a wound.
Get some training on wound packing. Regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your lifestyle, if it ever does come in handy, it'll come in handy.
Don't be the guy that's sitting there looking at the hole in his arm.
If you need to know it, you need to know it.
if you need to know it and you don't know it, it's too late.
Yeah.
You're going to be the guy on CNN that's sitting there looking at the hole in his arm.
So if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, just when we're done, not now, when we're done.
Yeah, when we're done, not now.
When we're done, just flip over to another channel and just watch a video on that.
I don't remember who did it. It was somebody back east.
And then, I've taken an actual in-person class. You can do that. I don't remember what. Take a first aid class, take a CPR class, take a gunshot wound packing class. Just get trained on first aid, because that's probably the most valuable thing that you can.
I've always said first aid needs to be expanded to have TCCC in it, tactical combat casualty care.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, it's. People call it different things, but it's basically tactical combat casualty care. It's how to pack a wound and stop bleeding, and mine had to open up airways in it.
And don't think like you're immune or whatever. Mass shootings, they make the news all the time. Just go take a class.
Have an IFAC, individual first aid kit. They're called IFACs. Yeah. Have a tourniquet. Have enough to pack a wound to save yourself.
Yeah.
Like, just
please.
Because at the current rate in which violence is growing, you're gonna need it. It's better off if you have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah.
Oh, and have two. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the class that I took, he said you should never go anywhere without two. He says he keeps at least 4 all the time.
I can see that. Which the rule of thumb that I used to run by was 1 for each extremity.
Well, yeah, and that's if you're treating one person.
Yeah.
So that's your public
service announcement.
Don't forget to have your pets, Pedro.
Oh my God! Did you hear who's representing Rittenhouse?
No.
The same people that represented this other guy who may or may not have been a student at a Catholic university or Catholic high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fight Back.
Interesting.
The Fight Back Foundation.
Yeah.
Is representing
That's
Rittenhouse.
fascinating. I did not know that. How old is that article?
I mean, this week.
Well, yeah, obviously this week.
Updated. It was updated yesterday.
Okay. See, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
I'd heard that charges had been filed, but I didn't know who the attorney was.
So,
interesting.
a legal team from the #FightBack Foundation said it will be a part of Rittenhouse's defense team. Lawyer L. Lynn Wood said he helped form the foundation with a mission to protect and defend our Constitution on many fronts. Woods is a nationally prominent defamation lawyer who helped a Covington Catholic high school student sue CNN, the Washington Post, and other media companies in 2019. And if you don't know that story,
yeah,
that kid just settled for like $250 million.
He's going to college.
He ain't going to college. He's not going to college at all. Unless college is on the yacht he buys, he's not going to college.
What is it with you and yachts?
I want a yacht. It's got to be because I'm in a landlocked state.
That's.
I want a G8 and a yacht.
I want like a sky yacht.
I know, you're so strange.
I know. I'm so eccentric. People have no idea. Like
eccentric, flaming, whatever.
What?
You wouldn't like me, though. I'm a jerk.
True.
By the way, the National Guard's going to Kenosha too.
Oh, I thought that was old news.
I mean, it is, but
are they bringing in more?
The rumor is that they declined federal help, but
yeah, I saw that.
They initially declined federal help, and then 24 hours later, he's like, "Yeah, we might need your help." Let me say this for one last effing time. It is the worst idea possible in civil unrest to send the military in, because what you're griping about is police are not trained on how to deal with citizens and during civil unrest, and you're taking a group of people who is less trained to deal with civil unrest than the cops are.
Like, what do people actually expect to happen here? Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we looking for?
It's all a bluff game.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's all a bluff game. The problem is there's too many people that have to pick a side, and it's, well, Jacob Blake was murdered. Well, Kyle Rittenhouse, if I believe Jacob Blake is murdered, I have to believe Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer. And if I believe Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero, I have to believe Jacob Blake deserved what happened. And that is not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Stop picking a left versus right paradigm.
Support the troops.
I'm going to throw something at you. I don't have anything around me.
It's on my shirt. Support the troops.
You're wearing a stormtrooper shirt.
It says support the troops.
You're. Oh, nobody thanked me all at once. You can believe Jacob Blake was unjustly shot by the police 7 times in the back and believe that Rittenhouse had the right to defend himself. And I'm going to asterisk this again with, don't come at me with, well, he was 17, he shouldn't have had that gun anyway, because there's one, firearm laws.
Do you know when I got my first firearm?
No.
I think I may have been 11.
I was 8. I got a 22 when I was 8.
See, the 22 wasn't mine. I think I got my first firearm. It was a 44 Special. I think I was 11.
Yeah, I was like, I had a 22 when I was 8, and then by the time I was 14, I was deer hunting with a 30-06. And by the time I was 16, I had a 9mm in my bedroom.
Yeah. The 44 Special stayed underneath my bed. So.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, by the time I was 16, I had a 9mm in the top drawer of my dresser.
Yeah. I still own that gun, by the way. And my dad still owns a 22.
And then I had my hunting rifle, my deer rifle. And then I knew where every shotgun in the house was. I mean, and I mean, somebody's gonna lose their ever-loving mind over this, but I grew up in a house without trigger locks.
Oh yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I was taught at an early age. You
don't touch it.
You don't touch it without somebody else there.
Yeah. And if you do touch it with somebody else there, you can get your ass whooped. Kingdom Come.
Yeah. By the way, if you don't know, every gun is loaded.
Every gun is loaded.
That's your second PSA.
Treat every gun like it's loaded. And for the record, don't throw Molotov cocktails at people. And don't beat people in the head with a skateboard. And don't walk up to somebody who just shot 2 other people with a gun in your hand thinking you're not going to get shot.
That's the part that I found really weird. After the first guy was shot, like they didn't seem to understand what was going on.
They didn't seem to understand. There was probably 29 more rounds in that magazine. Like, the stupidity of that entire situation and how 3 people got shot and 2 of them died still baffles me. If a guy has an AR-15 and your best bet at going to arrest him and your weapon is a longboard, and not to be callous, but I guess he doesn't need your training now. He's dead. Do not bring a skateboard to a gunfight. Good God, I didn't think I would ever have to actually say something that stupid. Do not bring a skateboard to a gunfight. If you just saw somebody take a round through the chest, ironically, because if he was using 5.56, I guarantee it went through his chest.
Yeah.
But if you see somebody take a round through the chest and you decide, I'm going to go attack this guy with a skateboard, you're a dumbass. Like, Darwinism Award of the Year right there. Holy hell. You think charges should be filed from Jacob Blake?
Against the police officers?
Yeah. I do.
I think so. I mean, I'm not as...
That's attempted homicide.
I'm not as clear-cut on this one just because I think they should be fired, at least.
No, I don't. I think the problem is qualified immunity exists.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't matter what my answer is. They're not going to prison.
Well, I think you should be able to sue civilly for his medical issues. Because justified that shooting to a jury. What? Spit it out, sweet chicks.
Blanket statement. No one should be immune to being sued.
Agreed.
No one.
Agreed.
If you want to file a motion to dismiss,
fine, file it.
That's fine. Motion for summary judgment, that's fine. No one should be immune from actually filing a lawsuit.
I agree. Because at that point, you create a protected class.
I'm not just talking about cops. There are other parties too. But
the only one I could see a debate for is judges.
Oh no, judges?
Yeah.
Oh no, I disagree.
I know, but I can see the foundation for an argument.
I think judges are as susceptible to problems like this.
I agree.
Not shooting people, but
the
impartiality
of it.
Yes.
The entire reason judges have qualified immunity is because to theoretically make them more impartial.
And
theoretically.
That may be just a difference of perspective because I've seen a lot more miscarriages of justice from judges than from cops, but I don't deal with cops all the time. I mean,
it's pretty even.
Might be.
The problem is, I think the problem is, a lot of cops act like they're untouchable. Judges know they are.
Yeah, and
judges know they're untouchable.
That's probably why I'm more emphatic about it. Judges should not be immune, and part of the reason is they think they are right now because they are.
I mean, they are. Judges are 100% totally.
You want to fix anything with a judge? Good luck.
Good luck. It ain't gonna happen.
In Oklahoma, maybe you can run against him. Maybe you'll lose.
You'll lose unless you have a metric ton of money. Don't you have to be a member of the bar to run for a judge anyway?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
No, I'm pretty sure you do.
You
have. I'm pretty sure you have to be a member of the bar association to run for a judgeship. I'm almost positive you do. So even then, you're not running against him because you don't qualify.
I do know attorneys that have run against judges just so that they could recuse the judge from all of their dockets.
No way.
Yeah.
Do I know him?
You might.
Is it recent?
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Because it's the one judge that.
I know who you're talking about now. No way.
They ran against that judge because they didn't want to have any cases tried by that judge.
No way.
That's the rumor that I heard. Don't know if that's confirmed. I've not talked to the guy who ran. Which, by the way, is actually kind of genius. I mean,
it really is.
I mean, I don't want to say
because if it's who I'm thinking of, I was sitting there going, why aren't you trying harder?
Because the goal was never to win.
The goal was never to win.
Which I understand, because judges don't make as much money. There are perks to being a judge, don't get me wrong, but they don't make as much money as a really good attorney.
Yeah, I agree. Because a really good attorney makes $250K a year and doesn't even think about it. I don't think Kenosha PD had body cams.
Depends on where the attorney is working. You can make a lot more or a little bit less.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, a decent attorney will make $250K a year.
I've heard stories of rural attorneys who were pretty good, making $50,000 a month.
Oh yeah,
and that's I mean, when they went to their partner and said, "I made $50,000 this month," their partner was like, "Well, once you get consistent, I mean, that's the beginning."
wow.
Like the other partner was not impressed.
See, Kyle Rittenhouse has been charged with first-degree intentional homicide and 5 other charges. I really want to know what the 5 other charges
Yeah, I
are.
want to know what the 5 others are.
In the first shooting, Rittenhouse was charged with first-degree reckless homicide after Rosenbaum suffered fatal gunshot wounds to the groin and back. I don't know. This is going to be interesting. The Rittenhouse case could set precedent.
Yeah.
Because if they find him guilty, it's going to get appealed.
Yeah.
And at that point, there's your precedent of what is. Because what circuit's Wisconsin in? It's not the 10th.
No, it's not the 10th. It's not the 9th.
It's got to be the 8th.
I would guess it's the 8th. I don't know.
I mean, I can look it up.
If there are any of you lawyers watching, they're probably thinking, what the heck is wrong with this kid? I have very little intention of practicing federal law. I mean, I don't have, especially appellate law. You laugh because I know what you're thinking, but I like the state law. It's just easy, I think. It's easier to get in touch with, I guess.
7th Circuit.
Is it the 2nd?
7th.
Oh, 7th.
7th.
You said 2nd. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
No, the 2nd's back east.
Is there one? Is the 8th between?
Oh my god. You're such a nerd.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to law school. If I was going to law school, I would care because I would love to practice federal appellate law.
Yes. 7th, 8th, 10th, and then the 9th is on the coast.
Yeah. I was like, everybody knows the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Everybody knows the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals.
The 9th, California's in the 9th, and everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it. I do. I think there should be charges filed. And I think the officers that shot him should be personally responsible for his medical bills.
I think there should be charges filed. I'm not firm.
At least reckless, and I'm not gonna say attempted homicide, but I mean because if you charge attempted homicide, you never convict anybody.
Well,
it's just like George Floyd's deal. They overcharged him, so they're gonna walk. Reckless endangerment.
I don't know.
Aggravated assault and battery.
Maybe, yeah.
There you go. Aggravated assault and battery. Because they're going to say, you charge attempted homicide, and they're going to look up and be like, well, did he intend to kill him?
Here's the real kicker. number one, qualified immunity. They're not getting charged.
No, they're not getting charged.
Second thing is, if they are charged, they're going to be charged with first-degree murder.
They can't. He didn't die.
Well, it's going to be attempted murder.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You know they're going to charge the max. Like, if they have any shot at
show that they're making an example, in all reality, they're overcharging them for something they didn't do.
So they
can get off.
Yeah.
The more the stories, the more that comes out about these two stories, we will keep doing stuff on it. I think the Jacob Blake story is close, if not over. I mean, I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the guy because he got shot unjustly and now he's paralyzed the rest of his life.
And nobody's going to end up caring, which is the really sad part. But
no matter what he was charged with, you were innocent until proven guilty. If you believe he quote unquote got what was coming to him, you do not believe in qualified, or you do not believe in innocent until proven guilty. Period. Although the other case, I keep screwing his name up.
What other case?
Rittenhouse. I keep wanting to call him Rosenstein. The Rittenhouse case. I think we're going to be watching that case for a while. Guaranteed. Anything else, kind sir?
Do you think they overcharged Rittenhouse?
No. Not with elements of crime.
You mean no, not intentionally, or no, not at all?
No, I don't think they overcharged him.
Okay.
Let me see. I can find it again.
Wasn't one of them? One of them was homicide. I mean, it was
first degree intentional homicide,
which is okay. Yeah.
Because you can prove intent and you can prove the homicide. The intent was when he pulled the trigger. I actually had an ADA tell me that one time. On something like homicide, you don't really...
I think you could actually maybe make an argument for intent from the defense position.
He had the intent to defend himself.
On the very first one, I'm not convinced that he intentionally shot the person.
Yeah, but all you need to prove intent is he pulled the trigger.
No, like, I'm not sure he actually intended to pull the trigger. It may have been an accident.
Even then, you can't admit to the accident and still have self-defense stand up.
True. Well...
Because admitting it's an accident admits that you didn't believe you were...
Logically, no, but in front of a judge...
in front of a judge who knows.
You can kind of do that, actually.
He was acting in self-defense, so he made an accident and killed somebody. What? That's when, as a DA, I go, objection, stupidity.
There's actually a term for that in the legal field, and it's not stupidity. It's called pleading in the alternative, which basically is an argument of this was an accident, but if it's not, it was self-defense. Which in front of a judge you can do that. You don't do it in front of a jury because juries go that route. They say that's the dumbest.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
But in front of a judge, you can make those arguments because those are legal arguments.
I can see it. It was an accident, but if it wasn't an accident, yeah, I can see that in a legal standpoint. On an actual, like, real world standpoint, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
It is. It's not always the best idea, but technically you can do that.
Oh my God. Where are you on social media nowadays? Are you still banned to one? You banished to the blue?
I don't know. I just stopped checking.
Like, you stopped checking Twitter?
Oh no! I'm on the Twitter. Get on your interwebs.
Get on your... God bless.
And find the Twitter. I'm on there. Get your Twitters open.
What's your at?
At the Lucas Cohen.
Are you gonna give out your Keybase this time?
I'm also on Keybase.
Oh my God.
I don't remember what the address is.
He's a nerd.
I've not used Keybase in a while. I just haven't had any reason to get on there.
I'm the cool kid. He's the nerd. Any other questions?
Don't act like you're.
I'm not a nerd. You've said this all day. I'm not a nerd.
We've talked about this, Greg.
I got a 1-year-old that picks up, like, is in love with computers and controllers. And I'm like, oh, great.
Whose computers and controllers?
My old computers and controllers.
And your new computers and controllers, too.
Yeah.
It's not just him.
I'm not a nerd. You can follow me on any social media that you can possibly ever find. I'm on Twitter at Greg J. Engel. I'm on Facebook, Greg J. Engel. I'm on Instagram at Greg J. Engel. I'm on, I think, Snapchat, TikTok. Yeah, I'm not. If you find something I'm not on, text me and tell me. I'll probably get on it. The Qualified Immunity. It's also on every single podcast platform out there. It's on Apple. It's on Stitcher. It's on Spotify. It's on Anchor. It's on Overcast. It's on Podbean. It's everywhere.
What?
It also has a Facebook page.
What?
What?
What was that last one?
Podbean.
That's a new one.
Yeah,
For me.
It's been on there forever.
Okay.
It's on 19 different platforms. So if you can't find it, you're not looking hard enough.
I didn't know there were that many platforms.
There's actually, like, we're on India's top 2 podcasting platforms now.
Really?
Yeah. I told you, I work at this all day. When I'm not selling a car, I'm working on this.
I'm the worthless sidekick. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
He literally doesn't, like, some days I'm like, he doesn't believe that I legitimately work on this thing like 8 hours a day.
I walk in the door and say, what are we talking about? Greg says this. Okay.
That's really how it happens too. And then I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Like, when did you build a website? In bed last night. The Qualified Immunity Podcast is on Facebook. It's on YouTube, obviously. It's on Spotify, Twitch, Periscope. I mean, we're on everything. We're legitimately on everything. So, but YouTube, I think, is under my name at Greg Channel. So, but go to wherever you listen to this podcast. Please, please, please like, subscribe, go leave a review. It's what helps these metrics. It's what helps push this podcast forward, because we can only go as far as you allow us to. With that being said, screw up your tagline.
Vote. Every time you say screw it up, I have to actually think about what is the right way to do it. I can do it if you don't say that. Vote bold, vote gold, JoJo 2020.
And I'm going to end this the same way I end this every single night. We do one with my favorite or my favorite phrase from my favorite music festival in the entire world. That is Tomorrowland, which will hopefully come back next year. Live today, love tomorrow, and unite forever. Till Valhalla, guys.